Hello, this is Paul Bo Brookins, and welcome back to How to Play Dwarf Fortress. We're in part 14. I was going to start explaining the workshops and all the stuff you can make. I was actually running the game in between videos so that all the dwarfs would dig out a couple more spaces and build all the workshops so we could look inside them and see what they do. But in the meantime, we got some migrants. Migrants happen whenever your fort gains value. When your fort has a higher amount of money and worth than it used to, then you attract more people to your fort. They want to live in your fort because there's lots of nice stuff. Right now, we don't have a lot of migrants, I'm sure, because we're just starting out, but we'll have more, a higher population than we started out with because of all the stuff we've made. So let's unpause the game and we'll see who we got here. We got, looks like a couple farmers, a kid. I guess that's it. Now, whenever I get a wave of migration wave, a wave of migrants, I like to open up Dwarf Therapist, and if you hit this Read Dwarfs button up at the top, it will refresh all your dwarfs. So I want you to pay attention also to these squares for the miners. So watch what happens there. When we refresh, see, it got a little tiny bit bigger. It might be hard to see on the YouTube video, but they gained experience from the last time and they got a little bit better. You can see when I hover over this, it says raw level 10. That means he's at level 10, which actually, you remember when we were making our dwarves, you could go between 5 and 10. Well, this is higher than that. This is level 15 technically, because in the game we're at 5. We were not good at it. It was like basically a 0 when you're at 5. So this roll level 10 is the equivalent of gaining 5 levels from the beginning. You can see this guy has a roll level of 3 in farming, so 3 would have been negative value if you were looking at the stats from the embark screen, but we know that that's 3 levels from the bottom that you can be. So now you can switch, you can group your dwarfs by a lot of different things. Up here in this group by section, I like to group them by migration wave at first. So let's go ahead and switch that to the wave 0 is your first initial 7 dwarves, and then you can look at the next wave. Yeah, it looks like we just got some farmers. This whole section in the middle here is basically farming and related items. 2 farmers and 2 kids, so not a good migration wave at all, really. Let's see what kind of military might they have. We're in the Labors tab here. If you go here, you can check out their military skills, and it looks like this guy is a good axe dwarf. So we're going to go ahead and make him the leader of our military, Sibrek Bissolidin. You can do the military from the Dwarf Fortress screen, but I like to do the military from the actual game, and I'll show you that excuse me, quickly here in a minute. So at least one of them has some use that we can use him for. This other guy actually is a Marks dwarf with some armor use, so he might end up being a militia captain or something. But for now, let's assign him to all the stuff that we want to get done. We'll assign all the non-essential tasks that don't require you to be good at them to make an improvement. If you remember when I was talking about item quality, that's why you don't assign just any random dwarf to be like a metal crafter, a weaponsmith, an armor smith, because the better they are at that skill, the better items they'll churn out, and the better they are, the better quality they are if they're military items, the more value they have for any items. But if you're just making items to sell, then they're better quality. That's one reason why you just don't activate every skill on every dwarf. So we'll go ahead and activate some of these other ones. That I'll go ahead and make him a mason. Well, not yet. Eventually we're going to start our walls around our fort to get some protection, but we're not going to quite do that yet. For now, let's just have him hauling goods and doing some of the farming work. It won't hurt to have him do a little bit of brewing too. So whenever you change anything, you hit commit changes and it will change that. So these two guys, if you notice, there's these two tabs right here are activated no matter what. They're called Feed Patients or Prisoners and Recovering Wounded. Those are in the hospital, in the healthcare section of the game, jobs wise, and everything is default set to, every dwarf is default set to do these, except for children. So that's a good way to tell if somebody's a child. You can hover over it and it'll tell you profession child, but a good way to filter them out is to check this out. If they come into our fort and they don't have these activated, that means they're children and they're going to be pretty much useless. Also, these hauling, this section is like moving things: stone hauling, wood hauling, item hauling. If they're not activated by default, then that means they're children. So these two guys are going to be useless for a little while. A lot of times the children that come in on the first couple waves will eventually grow up and become adults, but for a while all they'll do is eat our food. So let's go ahead and remember this guy, Sibrick Bisolidin. And we'll go ahead and make him the militia captain. So if in order to make, not the captain, the commander, in order to make anyone a captain or commander of the military or any other kind of nobility, you're going to want to go into the N screen from the main menu. If you hit the button N, it will bring up the nobles. The expedition leader has already been set as this guy from default. I think it's always the first person on your list. Let me look at Dwarf Therapist real quick again. I failed to mention this social tab here, which shows you what they're good at socially. So let's go ahead and make Urist, or Urist, our expedition leader, because he's the one that I gave the leader skill to. So he's going to be our noble that does all the random stuff. Let's go ahead and replace him. You can replace anyone that already has an office by hitting R, and we'll make Urist the expedition leader. The militia commander, we're going to make Sibrick our militia commander, because he's the best at melee combat at this time. And we're going to leave some of these blank. Some of the nobles require special equipment, and you'll see this. If this turns red, that means there's something that they need. So go ahead, let's say this was red. If you scroll up to that person and you hit enter, it will show what they want somewhere on this screen. and you can go ahead and supply those to them. Right now you can see that this person has meager quarters and one chest. That's his entire possessions in terms of furniture, so and rooms and whatnot. So eventually, when your fort gets to be a certain size, the expedition leader turns into a mayor, and the mayor requires some special equipment, and sometimes he'll make demands or mandates. Demands, he is demanding, and I can't remember which one's which. One of them is they are forcing you to make an item or they get really mad. Sometimes a really specific item that's really hard to find or to make. And the other one is usually they prohibit you from exporting a certain type of item. So they really like toys, so they'll ban the export of toys, so you can't sell any toys without making him really mad. We'll go ahead and make the chief medical dwarf Urist, because we gave him a point in diagnostician, and he is the only one that is qualified to diagnose people. And we'll go ahead and make Urist the broker as well, because he has a point in appraise, which appraise will allow you to tell the value of goods, and you won't have to blindly trade without knowing how much things are worth, which is really hard to do. So that's why we wanted to start off with 1 point in diagnostician, so we could have a little bit of idea what kind of injuries people have when we start a hospital, and also appraisal. But it looks like we're going to have to end the video here, but in the next video we'll go over how to set up your military, and our military is only going to have 1 or 2 people in it at this point, but we had an attack of a falcon off screen when you weren't watching, so we're going to have a military to be able to direct them to kill any kind of invaders. So we'll start on the military, and we'll hopefully get to the workshops, which we were planning on getting to in this video. But until then, my name's Paul Bo Brookins. Like the video if you like it, and subscribe if you like what I'm doing. But until next time, we'll see you then.